Hello everyone, JRDL96 here with a brand new reaction. As you can tell by the title, it's another Jacksepticeye video, and this one really is interesting. The title alone is interesting. I'm assuming it's one of those, weird stories that he has from, I guess, from his youth or recent events. So I'm assuming maybe this is like him having a weird dream where Robert Downey Jr. is in his house or something. I have no idea. That's my guess. So I'm guessing it's one of those, weird, funny stories, and stuff. And it kind of reminds me of, some of the funny dreams I had that featured both Mark and Sean and stuff like that, which I found pretty funny. Which I might, briefly share quickly after this video ends. But anyways, I might as well just get right into this video and see what this, what the story is and stuff. So without further ado, let's react to this video, shall we?
I once hallucinated that Robert Downey Jr. ran through my house.
Hallucinated?
Now that sounds great. But when I give you the context of this story, you're going to realize how absolutely terrifying that is. Back when I was a wee lad in Ireland, I'd say about 9 years old, maybe 10. We'll round it up to a solid 10. When I was 10 years old, I got sick. I got so sick that I got a crazy fever. Now this was uncommon for me because I've only ever had a fever twice in my life. Then, and when I got COVID last year.
Oh,
what can I say? I'm just built different. Apart from the fact that I have digestive issues, stomach issues, asthma, whatever. But I was so sick at this point in my life that I remember it vividly. Because I remember going to bed, and when you're like, you have a fever and you close your eyes and your eyeballs feel hot? I remember seeing the walls were like red. This is probably a fever that I should have gone to the hospital for now in hindsight, because I have never hallucinated since then. And if I'm hallucinating on a fever, I probably got closer to death than I would have liked.
I think I might have remembered.
But I went to bed early because I just wasn't feeling well. High fever. I was like, I'll go to bed early and I'll get some sleepies. And I shared a room with my two brothers at the time, and it was a bunk bed. So I was on the top bunk and my brother was on the lower bunk, and then there was another bed in the room that my other brother was in. And the way this room was oriented was that on my bunk bed, you could kind of turn and see the door. And if the door was open, you could see through the crack between the door jamb and the door itself and see up the hallway into our house.
Wow.
And my living room and my bathroom were opposite each other. You had to pass this window in the hall that I could see through the door to be able to go to either of them. And I went to bed. I felt so horrible. I woke up. I swear I was possessed. Now that I'm telling this, I realize how weird all of this was, because I woke up not aware of where I was, what was happening. I sat there looking at there was a post on the top of my bed that you could put your hand on to get up into the top bunk, and the top of it was kind of rounded and it was sort of shiny, and I could see myself in it. And I remember kneeling in my bed looking at it and thinking, whoa, this is weird. And then I looked up to the hallway through this crack in the door, this little window into a different reality that was happening in my brain. And my brother walked from the bathroom over into the living room. My brain thought that was Robert Downey Jr. And the reason I thought that was because before I went to bed, my family were watching Ally McBeal. Now, we're going to have to rewind a little bit, because the Robert Downey Jr. that most people know today
I was just going to say,
is not the Robert Downey Jr. from my childhood.
This is pre,
Robert Downey Jr. from back then, or DJ if you will, was
Iron
the guy
Man.
in Ally McBeal. This was pre going to prison for drugs, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe he didn't go to jail, but he went into rehab and got sober or something like that. There was a big moment where people didn't really like Robert Downey Jr. and now everyone loves him. But I guess I had been watching Ally McBeal with my family, then went to bed. They continued watching, and I somehow superimposed RDJ onto my brother, who looks nothing like him. And then I was convinced that he walked by my hallway. Now, that's not even that scary. That should have been a cool thing. My mind freaked out. I put my hand on the post. I did one of those things where you get over a fence in one move, and I leapt out of bed, out over the railings, fell onto the floor. My family must have heard just a as I hit the ground, and I sprinted into my living room. And when I got there, I didn't do anything. I sprinted into the living room, and I was kind of just and my family all turned and were like,
what happened?
What's going on?
What's
wrong with you? And I was just like, nothing. No, nothing. And I was just like watching the episode. And eventually I told them what had happened. I don't think I went into explicit detail. But they all kind of just laughed it off. And were like, crazy sick boy dreaming up weird things in his fever brain. Go back to bed, you lunatic. Which I did. I slumped back to my room, kind of realizing, oh, I possessed my own body again. The devil is not here anymore. And I got back into bed and I fell asleep, but I don't think I was asleep for very long, because that exact same night, I woke up again, kneeled up into my bed, and was staring at myself in the bedpost again. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's like a self-reflection kind of
body
thing, to try and
experience.
like be my own constant, to be in my own reality, to be like, no, that's me, that's not Robert Downey Jr., it's me. He's not going to come back again. No, he would never do that. He's an Ally McBeal. But I was staring at myself in the shiny part of this bedpost that was like rounded at the top, and I don't know why, but I like moved. I was like staring at it and in a stupor and kind of just like frozen, and I was so scared that something was going to be behind me. Like, I was paranoid that something was behind me that I couldn't see. So I was like, okay, in my peripherals I see the room, in the bedpost I see behind me, nothing can get me now, Satan be gone. Again, we need to rewind back to like one of the previous videos I did on this, where I talked about my sister being possessed by the devil because I watched The Exorcist. My sister is possessed by the devil. Maybe I was older, actually. Oh God. Not important. I was convinced my sister was possessed back then, and I think I was like reliving that, where I thought something was going to pop up behind me, and I was staring at this bedpost, and I moved what must have been centimeters, and I saw the light kind of like reflect out from behind my head, and I freaked out again. It was like a J.J. Abrams lens flare happened in this thing, and I was gone. I did the same move again, hand in the post, leapt out over the railing, hit the ground again. This time, I could hear my family already laughing because they knew something had happened to me again. And I could hear them kind of chatting about like, well, what's going to happen this time? Because they had heard me hit the floor. So they knew I had leapt out of bed again, freaking out, something was going to happen. And in that sort of befuddlement of what was going on and hearing them talk, I kind of snapped out of it again and went back to bed and then slept through the night. But that was one of the weirdest nights of my life. And it's one of those things that you kind of forget. You put it back in the back of your head in the annals of history, and you try not to think about it, and you just suppress it. Because no one will ever believe you that you thought you saw Robert Downey Jr. walking through your house. Not only that, from the bathroom to the living room. He wasn't even doing anything. Nobody was cheering. No one was excited to see him. We had just seen him on TV. Why are we all freaking out? I was. So the moral of this story basically is that if you have a fever that is making your child hallucinate and feel like they're possessed by an out-of-body experience, maybe bring them to the hospital. I probably should have been. If Robert Downey Jr. shows up in your house, maybe grab a camera. Maybe don't freak out and like leg it to your like living room and then do nothing about it. Like, it's a cool thing to happen. Unless you broke in, then not that cool. And also, you can't trust family, because they will let you rot in a fever dream and then laugh at you about it afterwards. Whatever, I saw Robert Downey Jr. in my house and nobody can convince me otherwise. Oh, okay, before the video ends, okay, I have a big announcement to make. We have a new YouTube's coming out.
Oh, I already have it.
Look at him.
Right here.
He's called the King of Coffee. Oh boy, you're gonna want to get this one.
I already did.
Look at him, standing on his beautiful bean throne. It looks like a bunch of tiny little asses. This U2's is coming out on June 17th. So you're going to want to get ready. It's going to be a big one. These go really, really fast. These are kind of limited and they don't stay around very long, and then they're gone forever. So if you're going to want to get
I already
this,
got
June
mine, so no
17th
worries.
is the only time you're going to be able to get it, and then it's going to be gone. These are going to be so rare and so collectible after a while that I even got this beautiful jar to be able to put my one in so I can preserve it forever. June 17th.
If it could fit.
You're going to want to get him. The inventor and king of coffee.
Oh my gosh. Alrighty, so in general, it was like one of those weird stories from his childhood when he had a fever and he was having this weird, fever dream hallucination where he saw, Robert Downey Jr. running down, walking down his hallway. It was from one of his like earliest, movies or shows from the 90s, pre Iron Man, pre going to prison for, drug issues and stuff. This is like early in his career, like somewhat early in his career, before he had his resurgence and with Iron Man and other films, after he cleaned himself up. Like that kind of, those kind of things kind of remind me of like the one time I had a bad fever, and this was like over almost a decade ago. I had this weird flu fever, and I remember when I was trying to fall back asleep and I had a very bad fever, like I would hear these weird voices in my head. It was like this auditory hallucination where I started to hear voices in my head. I don't remember vividly what they were saying, but they were just, it was like one of those, weird, creepy, scary whispers you hear in movies. Those kinds of, that's what I kind of heard. And I'm like, oh boy. I was just thinking to myself, well, shit, I'm dying. I don't know, but obviously I recovered, but I just forgot about it until now when I was reminded of it with this story. But, the story I was mentioning about, the weird dreams I had where, I saw Mark and Sean in them. Like, I've said that I've kind of briefly talked about it in some videos over the years, like the one dream in particular that, I still remember vividly because it was just like one of those weird ones. I am literally walking on a movie set or like a set, like a green screen room, one of those types of, places where it's just literally the entire room is entirely just a green screen. Kind of like how, I'm assuming how they filmed Darkiplier versus Jacksepticeye, and that's where it kind of ties in. Because literally, I am walking onto the set, and Markiplier and Sean are both waiting for me, and they're dressed up in their respective dark personas, Jacksepticeye and Darkiplier. So they were waiting for me, and I'm walking on, and they start to look at me, and I think it was distinctly, they looked at me like not necessarily judging me, but in kind of like in awe and kind of like whoa, like that kind of thing. But in my head, I'm like, they're judging me, right? They're probably thinking, look at this fucking guy, like, look at him, coming in with these stupid triangles underneath his eyes. And that's what I was, walking onto set as. I was walking on the set as J.R. Dye, one of my dark persona. And, I kind of like look at them, and they start looking at me more, and I just kind of like, start to laugh, like, I know, don't judge. Don't judge me, that type of thing. And then Sean, I believe, said something along the lines of like, yeah, I get that a lot too. Like especially when I filmed the video with Mark. And I think it was and then I think Sean said, well, but overall that looks really cool. And even Mark chimed in saying, yeah, that looks fucking awesome. And then I woke up. So I didn't get to see farther into that dream because I guess my mind was like, whoa, my God, I'm in the room with Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. And then, it caused my brain to wake up. Another one I remember vividly was, something with another Markiplier one. These are just Markiplier ones in general. But this one in particular is like I'm at home and Markiplier, Tyler, Ethan, and Chica are over at my house, and we're filming a Markiplier Makes video. I don't know what we were making, but we were doing something. We were making something. I don't remember all the details. But we were literally, filming something. But one of my favorites, this is one of my favorites, and because it's just so funny. The thought of it is so fucking funny to me. So this happened around the time when Mark was doing his getting over it stuff, getting over its, videos and streams. And it was fresh in my mind at the time. So I'm literally watching him live stream him playing Getting Over It. And he's, for some, reason, for some fucking reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the fact that he kept throwing his chair around and, in those, Getting Over It videos. I was thinking maybe he broke that one chair and he had, the only chair he had left in that house was a rocking chair. So literally he is sitting there playing Getting Over It in a rocking chair. A wooden rocking chair. So he's trying to get up, the thing, and then at some point he falls a very large, all the way down, back down again, and he goes absolutely ballistic. Stands up, goes ballistic. Screaming, cursing, the usual Markiplier rage. So after he settles down, he calms himself down, he goes to sit back down in that rocking chair, and as he does, the rocking chair just said, fuck it, and broke apart, literally, literally. And next thing you know, I remember vividly seeing Markiplier falling back as his rocking chair breaks apart. That caused me to actually start to laugh in my dream. I actually started to laugh in my sleep. And that's what woke me up. And I remember just thinking to myself after I, woke up, I'm like, why was Mark sitting in a rocking chair? I didn't understand why that was going on, but I just found it so funny. It was just so funny. Oh my god, that was so funny though. But anyways, overall, I really enjoyed, Sean's video and Sean's, tale of him being scared at Robert Downey Jr. in his house and stuff. I really enjoyed that, so hope you guys enjoyed today's reaction. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Be sure to ring that bell to be part of the notification squad. Be sure to check out my Instagram because I make cool ads at Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, even myself. I used to enactments and cosplays on there, so go check it out. And be sure to check out my Tumblr and my Discord in the description as well. So until next time, JRDL96 signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!